You guys may remember Barack Obama. He was the president for 8 years before Donald Trump. I actually voted for Obama twice. I completely regret it, and you should judge me accordingly. But I was a Democrat. I was a progressive. I was a lefty. I suppose I was brainwashed at some level. That's actually what my whole political story is about. The whole reason that so many of you guys dig what I do, because I was honest about my political evolution, and I truly regret voting for Obama. I think the country would be in very different shape if McCain had won the first time around, or even if Romney had won the second time around. I have no love for Romney, by the way. I think he's basically just a pet Republican, but it probably would have been better than Obama, because Obama loves this sort of double-speak stuff too. But right now, Obama's been talking about misinformation. And he doesn't like misinformation, although what he means by misinformation is stuff that goes against the narrative that he likes. We've got some quotes here from CNN. Former President Barack Obama said Tuesday that the rise in misinformation that led to the January 6th insurrection was apparent during his administration, but the speed and prevalence with which misinformation has increased in recent years worries him and should worry everyone. The guardrails I thought were in place around many of our democratic institutions really depend on the two parties agreeing to those ground rules, and that one of them right now doesn't seem as committed to them as in previous generations. That worries me, Obama said, and I think we should all be worried. One of the perpetrators of that, not the originator of it, but somebody who surfed that for their own advantage, was my successor, Donald Trump, he said. And we saw how powerful the constellation of conservative media outlets, talk radio, and then ultimately all of this gets turbocharged with social media, how powerful that is. Now, first off, there's so much here, because if you remember when remember Hope and Change, and everybody was like drinking ecstasy all day long when Obama was running the first time around, and everything was amazing and wonderful and spectacular. There were a gajillion, I think that's a scientific term. I think I'm getting it right in the amount. There were a gajillion articles written how Obama and the Obama machine had leveraged social media to get his message out there, and kids were on Instagram and Facebook campaigns, and it was exciting and new ways of sharing information. It was all wonderful. So it's wonderful when they do it. Then when Trump supporters, a couple years later, start sharing memes online and doing funny videos of Trump and putting his head on a dancing man and all of the other stuff that happened, then they're sharing misinformation. They're supercharging scary stuff. Okay, so first off, that's just like a general part of it. When they do it, right, it's good, it's fun, it's great. We write articles about how wonderful it is, a new generation figuring out how to spread information. When the bad guys do it, it's evil, and we must figure out a way to stop it. Okay, fine. Now, of course, what Obama really is saying there is that people are talking, and they're talking about things that he doesn't like, right? They're talking about how wokeness is bad. They're talking about how critical race theory is bad. He doesn't want people to be able to push back when the media pushes a hoax. The very fine people on both sides thing, that was a complete hoax when they said Trump said that, because the sentence before was, I completely condemn the neo-Nazis, but you never see that, right? The Covington kids hoax, as you know, Brett Kavanaugh's a racist. Jesse Smollett was attacked by white MAGA supporters while eating a Subway sandwich. The endless amount of stuff that we know that they lie about, if it wasn't for conservative YouTubers or radio or whatever ability people still have to be online to push back against this, then all of their lies would, in sort of actuality, they would be the truth, because there would be no way to prove that they weren't true. So it would be the totality of everything. So thank God there is some counter thing. This is also the constant obsession that these people have with getting Fox News off the air. They constantly are angry that people are watching Fox News. And it's like, well, why are people watching Fox News? Maybe some people agree with that. Maybe some people would like a counter opinion rather than just the blue and on stuff that CNN and MSNBC are sharing with people. So then what do? They start campaigns to get rid of Tucker's advertisers, to make sure that no respectable person will go on Fox News or anything else. And ironically, they then drive more traffic to it, because then Fox News is the outlier. And I think one thing that's good that's happening right now is conservative-leaning people are actually realizing that we got to build our own stuff. We got to fight back. We got to stop listening to these hysterical children. And you know, I was on I was on a YouTube show in Spain today. Don't Burn This Book came out in Spain a couple weeks ago. It's been #1. It's actually been the #1 nonfiction book for quite some time now since it came out, which is absolutely great. And the host was telling me how Spain is going through so many of the things that we're going through, that it just sort of what happens in America basically trickles everywhere else 2 to 3 years later, and that actually is getting supercharged by algorithms now. So the 2 to 3 year window that they used to have as the buffer is now getting smaller and smaller. But we were talking about sort of my political evolution, and that really I just started talking about all of this stuff, and that's what woke people up. And that, in many ways, is what Obama fears. That's what the machine fears, right? Like, what do I tell you guys all the time? You don't have to agree with everything I say here. I actually welcome, in the Rubin Report community, sometimes after the show, people post, Dave, I didn't really agree with that, or I think you missed this point on this, or that or the other thing. And it's like, I love that. I love that exchange. That's what it's all about. And by the way, I like correcting myself. If we get something wrong factually here, I do it in the middle of the show sometimes. I'm not perfect. I'm one guy. I got 2 guys in here. We're putting on something that I think is slim and trim and worthy, and that's why you're watching. But that's what the machine doesn't want, right? So when Obama's talking about misinformation, he doesn't really mean misinformation. He means the stuff that he disagrees with.